I didn't, but I think I can probably make do and tell you enough about kaolin that stimulate some questions that might get to what you'd like to know about the mineral. First, I'd like to start by saying that there are 5 producing companies here in Aiken County. And if I can refer to my notes to be sure that I don't forget any of them, there's a W.R. Grace Company. If I go too fast for those of you who are taking notes, feel free to stop me or slow me down. There's J.M. Huber Corporation. There's Dixie Kaolin Company. Cypress Kaolin Company. And Southeastern Kaolin Company. The exact date of production in this county is not known to me. I tried to find a figure on this, and the best I can come up with is that before the turn of the century, kaolin clay was mined in Aiken County. Now, I'll give you a little bit of history about the mining of kaolin as a mineral itself. It is first known to have been mined by the Chinese over 3,000 years ago in Huachafu province. Don't try to write that. In China. And that's where we get our name from kaolin. It was mined along what they called a high ridge, and in their language that was a kaoliin. And as the kaolin was mined and shipped around the world over the years, it was anglicized to kaolin, which came from the Kaolin in China. It was first recorded being mined in the colonies over here out of Georgia near Augusta. It was transported by Indians in canoes in the 1730s over to Savannah, where it was shipped from there to Wedgwood Pottery Works in England. Now, the Wedgwood Pottery Works, as some of you probably already know, is still very much alive today. And that's principally what the kaolin was. That's all it meant to this side of the world at that time, is something to ship to England for their pottery works. And that was a vigorous business until the English found out they had some kaolin of their own. And that stopped all shipments out of this side of the world for about 100 years. Production of kaolin started back up, as we know, around 1883 over near Augusta. The Riverside Mills opened up again, and this production was used for domestic use over here. Now, to go into some of the uses of kaolin, kaolin goes into so many things that I'm not going to be able to list them all, but at first it was mined for ceramic use, the pottery, and things of this nature. Today it is still mined for that, but 60 to 75% of it goes into paper production. Your fine-coated papers, all of your magazines that are smooth or slick finish, we call it, all your advertising brochures, anything with a hard, shiny, glossy surface that's paper is about 30% kaolin. And kaolin has 2 applications in paper. When the trees that we grow in the South are ground up into the fiber, the cellulose fibers that paper's made from, when the fibers come together, they leave gaps between the small fibers. And kaolin clay will fill those gaps very well. Makes the sheet opaque. You don't see through it. And if you want a smooth, glossy finish on it, you can add a coating of kaolin on top of that. So it has filling and coating capabilities in the paper industry, and that's where most of it goes. World production of kaolin is about 20 to 21 million tons a year. Georgia and South Carolina produce 1/3 of the world's consumption. Georgia and South Carolina have the largest and highest quality deposits known to exist. Just a fluke of nature, but we're very fortunate in that. Not very many people have even heard of kaolin. If you're interested in its chemical components, it's very simple. It is a hydrated aluminum silicate. It's got aluminum and silicon in it, a little water. It is inert. It doesn't react with anything, so it has excellent applications in a lot of places. It's soft. It's non-abrasive, and it has these powers of making things brighter and whiter, and hiding, allowing you to print on one side of the page without having it come through to the other side. All of us have written on a piece of newspaper with a magic marker before, and it'll bleed through 4 or 5 sheets. It doesn't have much kaolin in it. If it had a lot of kaolin in it, you'd be able to print a brochure like this with a high gloss finish, and you wouldn't see things from one side to the other, and you could reproduce color photography and that sort of thing in paper application. There's 2 kinds of kaolin. One of them is called water wash, and the other one is called air float. In Aiken County, you're concerned with air float clays. That's all that's produced here. Air float. Just floated in the air. And that's literally how we produce it. First, I guess I ought to go and tell you how we locate it, although it's been located here so long and the deposits are so large that there's not a great deal of seeking up here for additional reserves. But in other areas where we look for kaolin, the first thing we do is we have geologists study the area and tell us where they think we'll find kaolin. Now, years ago when they began mining this stuff, it was easy to find because it was right at the surface of the ground. You would cut a road and you cut right into it. You dig a well, you dig right into it. One of the old prospecting techniques, I'm told, was to drive down the road and look for a white ant hill because it was that close to the surface that the ants would mound up a big mound of white dirt. Another way was to look for whitewashed trees. You've all seen trees that people have painted white from about this high up to the ground. And the theory there was if all the trees in the yard were painted white, then it must be pretty close by. Because all you do to make whitewash is stir up some kaolin in the water and slap it on a tree. And if only one or two trees in the yard had it on there, you thought maybe it was a little farther away, so you'd stop and talk to the man, ask him where he got his whitewash, and then explore that. Another way was looking for church signs. White Springs Baptist Church. We have them all over the Middle Georgia area. And inquire about the name of the church. How did it get to be White Springs Church? Well, it's spring over there where we get our water. It's white. And so these were some of the primitive techniques they used, but because it's very close to the surface. Today we're not that fortunate. We find clay from 40 feet down to 120, and then down in Middle Georgia as deep as 190 feet down. It lies deeper also, but there's an economic point at which you cannot go beyond to mine stuff. And when you get down around 200 feet, you've about limited out. When you think of, you've got to remove 200 feet of stuff that is worth nothing to you. You have to go to the expense of the equipment, the manpower, to move all this, and then you try to extract the clay and in turn recapture those expenditures you made to get down to it. Let me go back. Our geologists will find areas that they think, based on their knowledge of geology, that clay deposits may have occurred. And then we will send our lands people in to negotiate the rights to explore this land for the kaolin. Once we have those rights, then we send in a survey crew. The survey crew goes to the property and draws a series of grid lines on it. They just survey in some north-south lines, 400 feet apart, and then some east-west lines, 400 feet apart. Everywhere they intersect, they put a stake in the ground. When the survey is completed on that property, then the drill crews come in behind it. And everywhere they put a stake down, they put a drill hole down. And they'll drill down till they hit clay, at least. And sometimes they'll just drill a hole down and hit the clay, and they'll keep on drilling just to get the geologic information back. But as they hit clay, let me tell you a little bit about the drill rig. Everyone probably is familiar with that. Drill a hole about this big around, 4 to 6 inches in diameter. And the drill bit is a metal, we call them stem, looks like a soda straw, bigger. And in the middle it's hollow. And water is forced down through the hollow drill. And as it drills in the ground, just like you take a garden hose and stick it in the ground on full blast, it'll just keep bubbling the sand up out of the hole and you keep pushing it down. And that's essentially how these drill rigs work. They bore, you've got pressure coming down on a metal spinning bit in the ground with water going down through it. And as the water bubbles back up out of the hole, it contains what you're drilling through. And so we have geologists there on site and drill operators that take a pea strainer and dip into that water as it comes out and see what's coming up. They start seeing little white flecks of clay, they know they're in the clay. A lot of experience goes into determining when you hit clay too, the nature of the machine you're using. When it hits clay, it doesn't go down as quickly. It begins to quiver and make funny noises that you and I wouldn't notice, but an experienced operator will pick up on immediately and know he's in clay. And when he hits the clay, he'll pull out all of his drill stem and he'll put on a special bit called a core. And this thing's designed just to cut out a piece of clay, a long 10-foot section of it. They'll pull that back out of the hole and blow it out with air pressure into a trough, and they'll cut it into 1-foot sections. And these sections are numbered according to the coordinates of the hole they're drilling, what the surface elevation is, how deep it was, how much overburden they went through until they hit the clay, then the top 1 foot of clay, the second foot, third foot, all the way through the section of clay. And each one of those is marked, bagged, and accumulated.